Welcome. This is the first round of the Swedish National Constructed Championships. It's me playing against Bizze, a famous player from Sweden. He's the former Swedish champion. And in case you didn't know, I'm not going to spoil how he did in this tournament, but at least he got top 8.
Yeah. Same for me, and well, me would be Nicholas Goodman on the forums.
Yeah, I'm Lekkit or Kettle Brockman, if you want the English pronunciation of my name. So what we see here is the starting hands. Actually, I didn't know we would see the hands so clearly when I set up the camera. So that was a nice bonus. We see Bizze here not looking for the Neurosis, but instead going for the double obsession, and that will enable him to play almost every card in his deck. Me, I got a Karmic Cake, so I keep that, and I don't want the Rage in the hand since I really want the Violence to get that 3 threshold. You see me starting with Rage and Greed for the Slagpelan deck.
Well, you both seem to, get some of the cards that you might want for starting hand, but not much to tell now before the game starts, at least.
Yeah. And Bizze won the die roll, so he goes first. Starts with an obsession, of course. You'd never start by drawing a card. That would actually lose you the game.
It would be hilarious, though, to see someone try it.
And at the end of his turn, I will play a Karmic Cake to fetch a Violence.
Always a nice start for a second player.
Yeah. Violence is always good to get, and you don't do anything with those 2 resources anyway, so...
Yeah, might as well play Karmic Cake for them.
Yeah, and with Neurosis... Violence, I've unlocked basically every card in my entire deck except for Siege Machine that has a threshold of 4.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So Violence is actually really good for me. And that's the reason why I don't run that many resources, because if I get a Violence...
or a Karmic Cake.
Or a Karmic Cake, I'm all set. Especially with the Karmic Cake, then I can recur it and get the Rage, and then I will...
have 4.
Yeah, so I can play every card in the whole deck. So I start off with the Violence.
Drop 1 influence.
Yep. So Bizze takes a firm lead.
Which might be nice for him since he started his first turn with not playing any card at all.
Yeah. Although given his hand and the deck, which is very controlling, he likes to wait for another player to drop cards first.
To actually play something against them.
Yeah, and here I play a Gideon and pass the turn. Bizze opts to draw a card with it, which again, it's not that
unusual.
Yeah. So I leave 2 resources open since I have a Karmic Cake in my discard pile, so I can recur it to fetch the Rage for the Siege Machine if I get to see one.
Yeah. And here we see Bizze playing Surplus to have a basic blocker that, gives you a card advantage.
Yeah, it gives you a resource advantage. So I recur my Karmic Cake, nothing special there. Gets one of the 3 Rage I have in deck. Because, once again, that's how few resources I run.
You rarely play much resources in your decks.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. I tend to build decks that are 1 or 2 trades, and generally I don't need that much threshold, so I cut resources all the time.
Yeah. Unlike me, that have a tendency to play like 16 of them.
Yeah. But it's good against research investment.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, my deck, he plays 1 research investment. If I haven't gotten 1 single Rage, I can get 3 of them, and then I can't search for anything. So... But yeah, if he gets a research investment off, he's basically fine anyway, so...
Yeah.
And I opt to attack with Gideon here. I was thinking about not doing that, but then his Surplus Soldier would just be sitting there, and I would have basically wasted a turn. I think giving him 1 resource isn't that much of an advantage, since my playstyle is basically play a lot of resources, and you'll see me...
doing just that.
Yeah, I tend to pay 4 to play a resource. And here Bizze pays 3 to draw a card. I'm not actually sure that it's the best option for him. He has a resource advantage. I would think that paying 4 to play another resource, since I think he has one obsession left in his hand.
Yeah.
He has some cards with flip up. And increasing the advantage that he got from the surplus soldier could be better.
Yeah.
So either way, he plays a Dragon Archer, obviously a very good card against Gideon.
Gideon bites the dust.
Yeah, and I pay 4 to play a resource, and I start my turn by playing another resource, and I haven't really decided if I should put the blow up or the Dragon Archer face down yet.
Since Dragon Archer isn't really that effective against another Dragon Archer.
No, but and I have a second Dragon Archer in hand, so
yeah.
So it's not and I think that's ultimately what made me put one of the Dragon Archers face down instead of the blow up. I'm not sure how many items Bizze would play. I think, yeah, I was looking out for the wand. I'm not sure if he played any crests. So basically, blow up wouldn't be that good against his deck.
When I played him, I don't think I saw any crest, but I'm quite sure I managed to smash his wand a few times.
Yeah, so here we see me playing Shriver Breeding Program, wanting to search for a dragon, but Bizze plays a Blazing Zero to counter it.
So that's denied.
Yeah, I would have gotten a Deadly Striker.
Big surprise.
Yeah, because Deadly Striker is such a good card. But yeah, me getting a resource out of it, and I'm not sure if I'm that bummed by it. I have 4 Deadly Strikers in my deck, so I'm bound to draw into one of them sooner or later. Yeah.
And the Dragon Archer attacks and does its first free damage.
Yeah. And he plays a Wanton Wizard to further increase his resource acceleration. So this is actually managing to get quite a few resources. You see, I have 7, I think.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, and Bizze has 8 and is 1 turn
ahead.
So I'm deciding between paying 3 to draw a card or paying 4 to play a resource. I do end up playing a resource. And there goes the blow up. And then I face down something else, which I'm not at the start of my turn, which I'm not sure what it was. Maybe a Sadistic Kernel.
For the time being, we'll say that it was a great decision.
Yeah. And I'll pay 5 to play my own Dragon Archer to kill his Wanton Wizard.
And he leaves the game.
Yeah.
Or, well, he gets destroyed.
He dies. And now he plays a Forget, and I saw that coming, so that's why I saved my Blazing Zero. I would have actually face downed it, since the only tactics I really want to cancel is
the expensive ones.
Yeah, I know or rather, I figured he'd play Forget since it's a very good card. But other than that, a Blazing Zero doesn't do that much against, say, what's it called?
Redonkulous.
Yeah, Redonkulous, Noble Sacrifice, or Dark Awakening, since they all have flip up. So I was thinking about face downing it, but since he left 5 open, I thought he might have a Forget.
Yeah.
And that's why I saved it.
And at the end of your turn, you draw a card and start with a resource.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I even looked at the card. I just put it face down. I think it might have been a Dark Awakening, but I'm not sure. No,
Still classic.
Yeah. Oh, well, whatever. I put it face down because I like to have resources.
Especially with your Siege Machine deck.
Yeah, it started out as a Siege Machine deck, but in the end it's like, yeah, Siege Machine is one of the win conditions, but
it tends to win in other ways.
Yeah, or rather, it's like, yeah, you have 5 influence less. I can Siege Machine for that. So now he plays the Violating Anomaly, and I have a Dark Awakening and a Karmic Cake in hand, so I pay 4 to play a resource. And that way I get a resource, and
Karma Cake in the discard pile.
Yeah, which doesn't do that much, actually. I'm not
No.
too hurt by it.
I can live with having a Karma Cake in my discard pile.
Yeah, if he hadn't played the... So here he attacks with the Deadly Striker, I block with my Dragon Archer.
And take 4 damage.
Yep. Since I want the Deadly Striker gone as soon as possible, I have no means of actually removing it without taking the damage, so I'd rather take 4 than 4 plus whatever he swings for.
And Bizze does a nice play with playing a Spitting Sarum after the Dragon Archer blocks the Deadly Striker, so it's actually destroyed.
Yeah, and then he swings through with his Dragon Archer. So I'm down to 14 against his 25. He has a field. I have some resources, though.
Quite a lot of them. But it does look like it's a slope uphill.
Yeah. So I have 1 card in hand. I'm not sure what we're waiting on, if I'm deciding if that's a card I want to still have in my hand, or if...
I'm gonna guess that you are figuring if you want to start with playing a resource or drawing a card.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So... Or maybe I... No, I because I ended up with 0 cards in my hands at the end of his turn, since he played the violating. Right. So that should be the card I drew at the start of my turn. And here I... Yeah, so this is where I paid 2 to flip up the face down Dark Awakening. And I pick my Dragon Archer. And I did this during my turn, so that I could kill his Spitting Sarum and then have the Dragon Archer to be able to block without dying.
Yeah.
To one of the characters. So I had to attack in a party.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's generally better to play characters on your opponent's turn if you're able to.
Well, if you can play them tactical, you play them tactical.
Yep. And here we see Bizze draw another Dark Awakening. Or I think maybe that's his first. Yeah, it's his first. So he has a Dark Awakening, he checks his discard pile, so at this time I figured he might have the Dark Awakening, or he might have a Wanton Wizard.
Yeah. It's one of the tells, at least. If someone plays Warlord and they're checking their own discard pile...
Yeah, especially after they draw a card.
Yeah. Might be kind of obvious, but it's something to actually look out for in even the experienced players. If they start messing around with their own discard pile, then start fearing a Dark Awakening.
Yeah. I mean, it's not always something you can do about it, but... So here he attacks with both his guys in a party. So I know that he... or rather, I figure he doesn't have any removal in his hand. He wants my Dragon Archer gone, so he can have, you know, the whole field for himself. He doesn't care about the damage as much. He'd rather have my Dragon Archer gone, and that's why he attacks in a party. And I'm thinking about blocking, because, you know, I don't want to take the damage, but at the same time I don't want to lose the Dragon Archer. But again, the Dragon Archer is mainly there for blocking at this point, because I'm at a disadvantage. He has a better field than I, so I end up blocking. And as I said, no removal. Which, by the way, would have been stupid, since, yeah, he'd kill it anyway, and he could save the removal for a later time.
Yeah, the only difference would be that you would take 5 damage straight away.
Yeah, but he's not, as we just saw, or as I just said, I don't think he was too interested in dealing the damage. He was more about establishing control. So I play another Karma Cake, looking for a violence. Then I recur the Karma Cake to fill up my hand. No use in leaving 2 resources open at the end of your turn if you can prevent it. Unless you want to feign like, yeah, I have this Ablazing Zero, so you play your tactics.
Yeah.
But against this deck, it's not something I'm really worried about, especially with a field that looks like that. I mean, if he has an Eccentric Inquisition, which I'm not sure he has the threshold for anyway, he could play it at the end of his turn when I want to draw for my last resources to avoid the Blazing Zero, but I'm not sure he would mind it being a Blazing Zero, since he get a resource from it, and he doesn't lose that much from not gaining
a few tactics.
Yeah. So there's a lot of shuffling going on, and Bizze doing his hand thing. He does that whenever he's I don't know, when he's waiting and he's tense, he does that. So I start by playing a face down. It's probably that.
What?
It's probably the violence. Could be the rage as well, since I don't need any more threshold. I mean, I have the new Shriver, the Fanatical Shriver, that could deal damage to locations if I get to 6 threshold. But it's not that important, especially not against this deck.
Yeah.
So a Thalaman, a very good card. He can block and kill a guy.
Quite useful, especially in this scenario where you actually want to block one of the attacking characters and then punch the other one.
Yeah, he's really, really cost effective. He's like removal and a block. Or if he has small dudes, I can just punch them and continue to live. So here Bizze is counting his resources.
And checking his threshold.
Yeah. And I think what we'll see him doing here is playing that Dark Awakening. And we see just that. So he plays the Dark Awakening, picking the Deadly Striker.
Big surprise.
Yeah, because playing a Deadly Striker over and over again is... It's good.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I played Deadly Striker in Dark Awakening in my deck, and yeah,
it's an efficient combo.
Yeah, they're best buds. Because every time, if you have, if it dies like 6 times in a game, you've done 24 damage, and 24 damage is just one shy of 25, which is the starting influence of the Tournament faction. And I've played a violence, and I've taken some damage from his attacks. So, yeah, Deadly Striker is a very good card. In this matchup, it's a guaranteed 4 damage for him.
Yeah, it's something to consider when you're building your decks, that if you're playing Mono Warlord, you are going to take some damage from Deadly Strikers when you encounter them, since you have no other means of actually removing them from the game and avoiding the damage.
Yeah. So your Bizze attacks with the Deadly Striker, I block with a Thalaman to make sure I don't take any more damage than necessary, and then after damage has been assigned, I want to use punch ability on the Dragon Archer, since he's the biggest guy and he's the one I'm the most worried about.
And things die.
Yeah.
You take 4 damage since
from the Deadly Striker, because, yeah, as I said, it's almost a guaranteed 4 damage. And he swings through with the Violating Anomaly for 2. I'm down to 8, which is 2 Deadly Strikers. Not that comfortable, actually, since he has only played 1, which has played 2 times with the Dark Awakening. And I think he only has played 1 Dark Awakening, so he should have 3 more in his deck. And either Dark Awakening or Deadly Striker equals a Deadly Striker at this point.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that he also plays, like you, Shriver breeding program, so he could search for him.
So at the end of his turn, I will pay 4 to play a resource, and I'll start with the resource. So you see my resource pile is...
quite large at this point.
I generally do this because I prefer to draw into stuff that I can play, and I like to have a lot of resources. So here I put my...
It opens up a lot of...
Yeah, it opens up a lot of options, and as Goodman said, I have Siege Machine in my deck, so if I draw into the Gideon Siege Machine, I could do a lot of damage. I also play Baskbile, so that's a very expensive card, and I don't want it to, like... Yeah, I spend my turn with playing a Baskbile, or doing nothing and play the Baskbile at the end of your turn. So he swings again, once again with the Violating Anomaly.
And 2 damage is inflicted.
Yep. And then he plays another Surplus Soldier.
With a bad haiku.
Yeah. I've heard they're not so hard. But sometimes they don't make sense.
Refrigerator.
Yeah. It's a reference to the flavor text of the card.
For those that didn't notice.
Yeah.
And here Bizze starts to count his cards and checking his threshold, since I believe he drew his first Eccentric Inquisition here. Yeah,
it's a good card. I don't think it's especially good against my deck. It's better, obviously, versus Arcanist that runs a lot of tactics. I don't have that many, but then again, if he hits the Dark Awakening, that's good. A Blazing Zero is good. Attack
Or
back.
back.
Yeah. So I don't really want him playing it because he might hit my tactics, but there are a lot of tactics that, or rather, I don't have that many tactics, so he could miss them. And I mean, Karmic Cakes, whatever, if he hits them.
Yeah, exactly. You get them to your discard pile, and you can pay 2 to increase your hand size.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, if you steal someone's Karmic Cake, you don't play.
No, exactly.
So here I pay 1 to play the Gideon.
Oh, Gideon, you're so cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, he might be too cheap for his stats and effect.
But that's what you get for a good character.
Yep. But then again, he's the ultimate warrior.
Ah. Also, he's the Emperor Barduzo.
Yeah, later on.
Flavor-wise, at least.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of spoil story that might be hard to find. So Bizze pays 4 to play another Dark Awakening.
In a Deadly Striker.
Yeah, no surprise there.
So here we see that Lekkit actually has 2 characters that he more or less has to block to survive his turn.
Yeah, I have to block the Deadly Striker and kill it, and take the 4 damage, and then I have to block the Violating Anomaly. The Surplus Soldier can get through, but I mean, staying at 1 influence is never good, especially against Warlord. He only plays 2 Thresh, so he can't Siege Machine or anything, but he might have Essence of Rage or something. Why would you do that?
I don't know, actually.
Well, actually, I think he plays an Essence of Rage in his deck. I think I saw it during another match. But so he attacks with the Surplus Soldier.
And there's a lot of thinking.
Yeah, there's a lot of thinking because I have a Dark Awakening in my hand, so I know that I can. Or I'm not sure if it's a resource or in my hand, but I know I have a Dark Awakening, so I can bring back the Athalamon and do the block and punch thing again. So I'm thinking about actually blocking this Surplus Soldier. But
to prevent that 1 damage.
Yeah, it's never good to be at 1 influence. So he doesn't actually respond because it's not a response. So he plays an Eccentric Inquisition during battle. I reveal my top 7 cards, and one of them is a Tactician Vacation, so I know I can't play the
Dark Awakening anymore.
So at this point, I know I basically lost the game. I ask him if he wants to put them on the deck at the bottom order. In any particular order, but he doesn't even care because at this point the game is already over.
Yeah. And big surprise, during the battle, I believe the Surplus just dies.
Yeah, because Gideon is the ultimate warrior and Surplus Soldier is just a Surplus Soldier. So, yeah, so now Bizze is thinking, I think basically he's just double checking to see if he has 1 or not. And here, normally attacking with the Deadly Striker first, I think is a misplay. But yeah, so I concede the game without even taking the full attack. And that's me losing the first round of Swedish Constructed Nationals.
On to the next rounds.
Yeah, we got more games coming since I think there were 4 rounds and then a top 8.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we got games from every round and from the playoffs.
Until then.